You know, there is something to be said about not knowing a movie's songs before you see it, because you get to experience them for the first time within the context of the story, so it's all new. That's a cool thing. Moana 2. Yes, after 8 years, we finally have the sequel to my favorite Walt Disney animated movie from the 2010s, Moana. And I'm sure you know this by now, but in case you don't, this movie was originally going to be a follow-up series on Disney Plus instead of a movie, but Disney opted to make it a movie instead. So Moana 2 takes place 3 years after the events of the first movie. Moana, the daughter of the chief of the tribe of Motunui, they have gone back to their voyaging ways, and they want to reunite the peoples of the oceans, because they have been separated by a curse. So to lift the curse and reunite the peoples, Moana assembles a crew and reunites with the demigod Maui, and they set off on an adventure to find an ancient island, which is tied to this curse. And now we have our adventure. An adventure I've heard mixed reviews about. Some people like it, some people don't. I liked it well enough. Is it as good as the first movie? No, it's not. But maybe I'm biased because I love the first movie so much. Then again, that didn't stop me from having problems with Beetlejuice. This sequel is better than that one, in my opinion. Now, Auli'i Cravalho is back as the voice of Moana, the role that put her on the map in the first place, and I still really like her as an actress. And Moana in this movie, she has more to fight for, I feel like, than she did in the first one because she has a little sister now, named Simea, who's adorable. So they have that relationship going on, the big sister, little sister thing. Then there's her friendship with Maui, although I will admit there's not as much Moana and Maui in this movie as there was in the first one, because you know, the first movie, it was them, it was their story. This movie, I will say, focuses more on Moana and makes Maui more of a supporting character than he was in the first movie. I mean, that being said, Dwayne The Johnson still does a great job as Maui because he's Dwayne The Johnson, for crying out loud. He still has that same charisma that he had as Maui in the first movie.
Can I get a chee-hoo?
And he did have some pretty funny jokes this time around. Not all of them landed with me, I'll be honest, but most of them did. But aside from Moana's younger sister, Simea, we also have some other new characters in this movie, mainly this crew that Moana puts together to go on this adventure with. And from the trailers, I thought they would be really annoying to me, but I gotta be honest, they actually grew on me. Especially the quote-unquote tech head girl, the way she talked and zipped around, she was really fast and really smart. She reminded me of Dolores from Encanto. She was that kind of quirky, I liked it. And I liked the other guys too. Like I said, they weren't as annoying to me as I thought they would be. I'd call that a win. In fact, they had some pretty funny moments that had me laughing out loud, I'll admit it. They were fun characters that I welcome into this Moana world. There's also this character named Matangi. We kind of saw her teased in the trailer. Kind of made her look like the villain. She's not in this movie as much as I probably would have preferred. And I say that because for the few scenes she's in, I thought they were really cool. I mean, just the way she moves, she can fly, first of all. So she's flying around in that slick, almost Peter Pan-like style, in that slick Disney animation kind of way. Just visually, I thought she was a really cool character to look at. I wish she was in this movie more. And going off of that, the visual effects in this movie just in general are absolutely amazing. I mean, you know how this goes by now. It's been 8 years since the first movie, but I thought the visuals in the first movie were amazing too. So really, this is just more of the same amazing visual effects from the first movie here in Moana 2. And this is a Moana adventure. So this movie's got everything you would want out of a Moana adventure. It's got magic, it's got gods and demigods, and it's got monsters. All the cool mystical stuff that you liked in the first movie. But just a little more generic, if I can say it like that. And that is gonna be one of my gripes about this movie, is that the plot doesn't really feel as inspired as the first ones. It's a really standard Moana adventure. I mean, in all that that implies. By saying it's a Moana adventure, that is a positive, because Moana adventures are fun. All two of them. And I enjoy watching them, but it didn't impact me as hard emotionally as the first one did. And yes, it's completely fair to compare this movie to its predecessor, before you might say anything in the comments. It's like, I can compare this to the Tomb Raider Survivor trilogy of games. The first one's the origin story, the third one is a conclusion, the second one is just kind of the filler adventure. And for the most part, that's kind of what this movie feels like. It's the filler adventure for Moana. Not all the way through, the end is pretty awesome, but for most of it leading up to the end. And of course, this being a Disney sequel, there are going to be some callbacks to the first movie, like some jokes here and there.
Boat snack! Oh! Boat snack upgrade!
But there are also emotional beats from the first movie that repeat themselves here in really clever ways. I actually really liked it. The pacing of the story is another problem I had, because it did feel a little rushed throughout the entire movie actually, not just in one of the acts. Maybe this movie was trying to rush through the plot of what would have been a Disney Plus series that spanned a few episodes. Probably would have made the season longer than 1 hour and 40 minutes, which is how long this movie is. I mean, let's say it would have been like 6 half-an-hour long episodes. That amounts to 3 hours. So, and this is a theory, mind you, this movie movie might have been the plot of a 3-hour-long TV season crammed into a movie that's about half as long. I don't know for sure though. But the fact that this movie did feel rushed, that's another factor of this movie's emotional impact feeling diminished. Because sometimes the dramatic moments, they didn't feel like they had enough time to resonate with me. Or really, they just felt more lighthearted in comparison to those of the first movie. That's really what it is. I feel like I'm bagging on this movie more than I probably should. I like this movie, I enjoyed it a lot. But whereas I really love the first movie, this one had enough small problems to have me going, I like this one. It's fine. In fact, let's talk this movie up. Let's talk about its soundtrack, because I feel like it's getting too much hate. Yes, it's true. Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote the songs for the first movie, he did not return for this one. And I guess I could tell. Truth be told, I still enjoyed the songs in this movie a lot. What can I say? I really liked the music. The beats were good. The lyrics were great. There's some emotional stuff in there. There's some really catchy stuff in there. Yeah, that's for sure. One song in particular, a little over halfway through the movie, I was digging it. I was watching this scene like, this is awesome. And of course, the musical score is great too. Those composers did return from the first movie. And you can hear it. It's those same vocals in that Polynesian language with the big harmonies. I love that. I've loved it since the first movie. And it sounds just as good now as it did then. I'll be listening to it when I'm not listening to Wicked. So in the end, Moana 2, yeah, I liked it. Like I said, not as great as the first movie. It's serviceable. It's fine. It's a fun, safe adventure for the whole family. Although there may be some pretty frightening images for some really little kids. So if you're a parent, just be aware of that. I thought those images were pretty cool. Like a big scary face in the clouds. It almost reminded me of Paranorman. That's awesome. But yeah, fun story, fun characters, really good music, and funny humor. This movie worked for me. For Moana 2, I will say, go see this movie while it's in theaters. And there is a mid-credit scene, so stick around for that. It's pretty cool. No post-credit scene though. So, Moana 2, have you seen it yet? What are your thoughts on it? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. And happy Thanksgiving for those of you watching in the US. Peace!